Most people, to the untrained eye, are going to sit here and say that this owner starved her dogs.
We're going to head up to that dog call right now. So we'll go out, we'll assess the situation.
I mean, look at that. These dogs look like garbage. I mean, that's just not... Did you see there's bags of food there?
She was very upset about losing all of her cats. She called me up a few times in tears.
I need my photos. I need to be able to paint this picture for the judge so that he sees what I see.
Getting where you need to go shouldn't be a struggle. That's why Hillsborough County offers Sunshine Line, a transportation service for residents who need a little extra help. If you have no mode of transportation, you may qualify for Sunshine Line's door-to-door service based on age, disability, or income. For those who live in the Hart service area, you may be eligible for an income-based bus pass program. Sunshine Line's trained drivers provide safe, shared rides, helping you to and from the vehicle and making sure you're secured every step of the way. Scheduling is simple. Just call 813-272-7272 to see if you qualify and start your application process today. Sunshine Line is here to keep you moving safely, affordably, and with a smile. Visit hcfl.gov/sunshineline to learn more and get started today. Sunshine Line, Hillsborough's ride on the bright side.
Good morning. Welcome to the Circuit 13 Advisory Board. If we could go ahead and commence with the roll call, Madam Secretary.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Irene Masnalik. Here. And Tina Mobley. Present. The Honorable Judge Kim Brennan. Beth Pasick.
Present.
Major Craig Roberts.
Present.
Thank you. Lieutenant Robert Polk.
Present.
Commissioner Donna Cameron Cepeda. Ms. Dorian is excused. Conchita Canty-Jones. Quinn Rainbow, our new member. Here. Pastor Alfred Johnson. Reverend Dr. Glenn Dames Jr. Claire Reynolds, present. Marquise Thomas.
Here.
Welcome, we're happy to have you. Sarah Gramming.
Thank you.
Good morning, here.
Thank you. Rob Parkinson.
Present.
Kimberly Williams.
And Madam Secretary, we have members that are attending virtually. I see that Conchita Canty-Jones is present.
Oh, is she? Thank you.
Conchita, can you unmute and acknowledge?
Anyone else?
She's unmuted, but it's speaker's not working.
I'm sorry, President.
Oh, there you are.
Thank you. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I had to figure that.
Very
It's
well.
different.
Sergeant Miapolis from Temple Terrace PD.
Temple Terrace Police Sergeant Tandra Miahopolis, sorry about that, is present as well.
But she's not a voting board member, so.
No, she is
Any
not.
other board members? Madam Chair.
No.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. If you all would join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item on our call to order is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt today's agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda. Beth Pasick.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The adoption of the agenda has been approved. The next item is the review and approval of the minutes. They were provided today at the meeting and also previously on the public notice as well.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved. We will now move forward with our unfinished business. At this point, there is no unfinished business. And we will start with our member updates. Item number 1 is the Department of Juvenile Justice. And I do have some information, so let me go through my notes. Currently, we have 1,196 youth that are open to DJJ Circuit 13 probation. This involves any youth that are currently on intake status, Walker plans, probation, conditional release, diversion. There are 479 youth that are on diversion, 330 youth that are on intake status. We have a total of 191 youth that are currently on probation and conditional release supervision. Youth that are on supervised release, that would include ERC, Evening Reporting Center, home detention, intensive home detention, and intensive home detention with EM. We have 21 youth. Let's see, some updates. Well, currently, many things are going on with the department, but it's internal. We're working on internal trainings. Many internal trainings are going on as far as, excuse me, the policies and processes that the department has internally for our probation staff. So that's an ongoing process. Some new update JJAS features for our probation officers regarding submission electronically of violations of probation. So a lot of internal trainings that's in process. We are also navigating policy implementation. Again, that's internal. It's not really external. So that's where the focus is right now. It's the beginning of the year and just getting some traction on that. In addition, legislation is currently in session. I don't have any updates as far as juvenile justice at this particular point in time. As Mr. Parkinson had mentioned, it's midway through. So we'll find out more information as it happens and what is approved. And lastly, just a reminder, the Florida Youth Foundation takes Youth of the Month awards. It's on the DJJ website. Anybody can go to the website and look at that under the Florida Youth Foundation. And it's submitted electronically, but the criteria is, and I just want to make sure that I'm put that out there. Youth nominees must have participated in a juvenile justice program. This can include prevention programs as well. Must be 19 years of age or younger. Nominees must have no pending charges or violations of probation. Youth must be compliant with sanctions, no discipline issues, and if on a pre-arrest delinquency citation, youth must be meeting required benchmarks. The selected nominees receive a $100 gift card. So just sharing that for anybody that may be interested in submitting a child that deserves that recognition, to go ahead and do that. And that's the only updates that I have at this particular point for probation. Does anyone have any questions from me? Okay, thank you very much. Well, we're going to move on to detention. I don't see detention present. The only information that I currently have about our Hillsborough detention is the census population, and as of this morning, it's 50 youth that are currently in secure detention. I will now go on to prevention. Our prevention representative was unable to attend today, but she did provide me some updates. And our representative is Brianna you're not going to help me? Savaglia, S-A-V as in Victor, A-G-L-I-E. I think that's the best way for me to round that name. So anyway, some updates that she has for prevention. They continue to promote the All Pro Dad chapter program. In addition to the Facts Your Future assemblies at schools, the GAP discussions and demonstrating excellence in reading ice cream socials at schools. So those are some of the activities that prevention is sharing with our education and our community members. In addition, Prevention Services is preparing for the One Mentor, One Child Mentoring Summit. The summit will be held on May 13th and May 14th in Orlando at the Hilton Orlando Altamont Springs. I believe that this information is also posted on our DJJ website. If you go to the website and select prevention, they're starting to post all the activities, summits, and conferences that they'll be having. Prevention Service has also been hosting the Florida Fathers and Faith Network meetings in preparation, for the Florida Fathers and Faith Symposium on June 2nd and June 3rd in Orlando at the Rosen Plaza Hotel. Further information for both these events can be found on the DJJ Office of Prevention Services website. And lastly, Prevention Services has been conducting site visits with the community stakeholders and contracted providers. Does anyone have any questions for me that I can at least take and get to the prevention representative? Okay, thank you. And moving on is delinquency citation. Mr. Parkinson, were you going to provide the updates on behalf of Ms. Royston?
Absolutely. Director Royston was unable to attend today, so she asked me to go over her main points in her data. Everyone should have this report. Looks like this without the color in front of you. Some highlights that Director Royston asked me to address were the referrals by month. November, we had 38 referrals. December, we had 50, and then January, we had 44. The current active monthly status is at 37. She also wanted me to note the referrals by law enforcement for this month were 44. And she wanted to highlight the really amazing efforts of Major Roberts to increase HCSO referrals, which have, just his efforts have brought us over the 70% threshold. So we're not showing up on the House and Senate's list that has to be reported by DJJ. So we're close, we're over 80% now. So closer to 83, I believe it was, 84%. So, you know, it's really highlights the impact of what one member could do to improve our numbers. So thank you so much for your efforts. And it gives us some breathing room to look at ways we can further innovate. So thank you to Major Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, in terms of offenses, the highest type of offense was battery at 17, followed by domestic violence battery at 12. Conchita Canty-Jones asked us to, keep an eye on gender issues. For this last reporting period, we had 19 females and 25 males, so there's almost parity there. The most frequent age was 16, followed by age 13, so 10 and 9 respectively. And then the zip code with the highest number of referrals was 33610. So, and that's the bulk of Director Royston's report.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the update?
I don't really have a question, it's more of a comment. I just wanted to let you know that the state attorney's office is still tracking cases that are sent to us that aren't referred to diversion, and we were able to send 7 cases that were not sent through diversion back to diversion, and they didn't enter the system. So we're trying to catch the ones that are slipping past, and we're very happy with the numbers, and it's being managed well. So from our end, we're also trying to keep us moving.
And we appreciate that, and I was going to discuss that in the data-driven decision-making, and now I don't have to, so thank you. But you're absolutely right, and we've talked about ways we can provide a safety net either at the JAC or elsewhere, and that's where you've been coming in. You're catching those kids that would otherwise be eligible and making sure they have a bite at that apple for civil citation, so thank you for that. And we want to do more of what you're doing across the entire system. So thank you for kind of leading the way on that.
Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Our next item on the standing business is updates from Hillsborough County Children's Services.
Good morning again, everyone. Just a few updates. We currently have 10 youth in our shelter. 7 of those youth are community youth, and 2 of those are domestic violence youth, and 1 emergency shelter youth. Our largest update at this time is that our director, Patrick Menzie, is going to be leaving us in the next month. Not leaving the system of care. He is going to Circuit 8 to work at the corner drugstore, so he will continue with his mission to work with Sinsfins, just no longer with Hillsborough County. So as the department makes transitions, we'll continue to update the board, but just wanted to give you that little bit of information.
Thank you, and I just want to recognize Director Menzie. He's been an excellent community partner and instrumental, as have you been, in making sure that our DV respite program has been a success. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Griving? Okay, then we will move on to the general member updates. I see that Jeffrey and Debbie Kane are on virtually. Mr. Kane, do you have any updates that you would like to provide for GPS, character GPS? You're muted, so if you're unable to mute.
Nothing to add from character GPS right now. Thanks.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Do we have any other updates from our members present today? Very good. We will move on next to our subcommittee reports. As stated earlier, Mr. Parkinson will be providing the update on our data-driven decision-making, pre-arrest delinquency citation issuances.
Absolutely. And you should have the minutes from the February 4th meeting in front of you. They look like this. I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights. Main issue we were looking at is, many of you are aware that there was a transition in security services at our Juvenile Assessment Center, and that had caused some wrinkles in the system. And as is often the case, the Sheriff's Office stepped up to help out and resolve a data issue that we had, which pretty quickly resolved the issue, so thank you for that. And it had to do with making sure that the data on the kids coming in, getting referred in the JAC, were getting over to the clerk's office and the other necessary and required adult and juvenile justice data system. So that's largely been resolved, and that was kind of a hang-up with the work of this committee, because we're looking at expanding some of the issues that the state attorney's office is doing in terms of capturing those kids that were missing in the field for civil citation. So this really kind of opens us up to start working on that specific issue again. Which brings me to our next issue, and that is draft development of a standard operating procedure. So the concept is, obviously, with our civil citations, our law enforcement officers are capturing the kids that they believe are eligible in the field. Well, the field situation is very dynamic, and there's other things going on, and sometimes we miss kids. And when they come to the JAC, we were like, okay, we missed a kid here, but we are fairly limited in what we can do to make sure that a kid has a bite at the apple. And that's where the state attorney's office has been able to step in. And she mentioned 7 recently that that were otherwise missed for civil citation, that we're able to refer over into the program, and largely they're doing well. So we're looking at ways that we can establish a concrete operational process at the JAC, and the state attorney's office is always going to play a role and be pivotal in making sure that we didn't miss kids, but a standardized process at the JAC so we can continually measure every kid that comes in. We have previously looked at the model they have over in Polk County and the model in Pinellas County, and each model is qualitatively similar with some nuances. But we've realized that the Pinellas model, they've really done a great job of going through the legalities of what can and cannot be done. So at this juncture, the subcommittee has voted to work on a draft SOP to subsequently present to the state attorney's office, the public defender, the AOC, our law enforcement partners, and of course DJJ, and kind of get an approval down the road. But we're using the Pinellas model SOP as kind of a foundation. And I know that Director Royston and Axe got a copy of that this week. So we're going over it line by line to see what might be apropos for us and what we might need to tweak. And then we'll subsequently bring our draft SOP to those key stakeholders that really need to be the ones to approve it to see if we can or cannot be, whether it can or cannot be done. And again, one of the kind of confounds in our efforts was getting our JAC issues addressed, or JAC data issues addressed, which has been accomplished. So that's where we're on that. Let's see, we reviewed the pre-arrest delinquency citation reports. Again, that's where Director Royston just really wanted to highlight the efforts of the Sheriff's Office to improve those areas. We're now over 80%, yay. And then the final issue that was discussed is Ms. Conchita Canny-Jones expressed some concerns over some gender differences in our juvenile justice data and wanted the group to take a better look at that data. And I believe we'll be doing that at the next meeting. However, I did go through and use last year's data to try and quantify Ms. Canty-Jones's concerns. And I'm just going to go over some 10,000-foot level issues.
Yes, please.
We don't need to get in the nitty-gritty. And of course, this is based on last state fiscal year. So in Circuit 13, we had 3,274 intakes, which was down significantly, about 17% from the previous year. So great job, everyone. Speaking to Ms. Canty Jones's data, when you look at all offenses and the sex split there, 74.6% of the intakes were boys, 25.4% were girls. So that is a slight increase in girls percentage-wise from last year, but it's a decrease in girls overall coming into the system. In 23-24, we had 983 girls, and in 24-25, we only had 830. So the number of girls actually decreased, total number for last year. Ms. Canty Jones also talked about some of the sex-related charges, and again, not going to go into details, but the preliminary data doesn't reflect the necessary increase in girls being charged with those data points. But again, we're going to be looking at this in detail in the committee report, but the data actually puts us in a good place. So now what I was not able to do is look at data from July 1 until now, because we have to do a special data request because that hasn't been uploaded yet, but I'm sure we'll be doing that as time goes on. But again, the preliminary data does not show any significant increases in girls being charged with certain crimes.
Thank you. And from what I do understand, yes, our DJJ dashboard data will be updated. From what I was advised, it takes about 30 days. It should be up in about 30 days. So looking forward to that data that is provided to all. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Parkinson at this particular point? An excellent work by the subcommittee, the chair subcommittee, as far as continuing their efforts to address and lower the rates for youth that should be afforded the opportunity. Each month, we receive data for the youth that did not receive that issuance. And I can see for last month, I don't remember the total number of youth, but there was a significant decrease, which tells us that youth that are, required to be afforded the opportunity are being afforded the opportunity if they meet the criteria. And also kudos to the state attorney's office for navigating some youth that may be slipping through the cracks to some degree to give them that opportunity as well. Our civil citation, our pre-arrest delinquency citation program that's supervised by the court administration is an excellent opportunity for all of our youth that have a first-time offense, with the exception of firearm offenses. And I believe also significant other dating, what's the terminology?
So intimate partner violence.
Partner violence.
So our program will divert kids as appropriate with standard domestic violence charges, but when it's an intimate
there you go.
partner, they are ineligible for the program.
Right. So they do swift sanctions, youth accountability, which is number one. Focus, whenever a child does an action, there should be a reaction, naturally, for accountability, but the best course of action is to handle it swiftly so it doesn't escape the child's mind of what they did, how they did, why they did 2 years ago, as opposed to 2 weeks ago. So yes, we have great praise for that program and everything it's doing for our kiddos. And it also helps to not develop a face sheet, which can adversely impact a child later on in life through their later teen years and naturally their adult years as well. So thank you, Mr. Parkinson.
Chief Hammersley, just one thing to add, and again, this is related to Ms. Canty Jones' inquiry at the data-driven subcommittee meeting. Looking at the changes in statute in the last 5 years that have shifted, for lack of a better term, sexting and internet-related sex crimes, it's really a complicated issue, and the state attorney's office has been doing an incredible job of parsing through those cases and making sure they go where they need to go and are charged as appropriate for the individual situation. And I didn't realize that until I poured through the data, but it's obviously created a significant workload for the state attorney's office, and they appear to be doing an excellent job in making sure that youth are held accountable, but not go completely overboard in terms of the nature of the crime. So thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you, Rob. So our next item on Subcommittee reports is our student achievement, enrollment rates, attendance rates, and transition to post-secondary options. And let me just go through my notes here because I believe I have information on that one. So the subcommittee held their meeting February 13th, and chairperson Chrissy Dorian covered the meeting, and the information that was provided for or requested was collecting data from DJJ for youth that are on supervision status, just as a focus point. That would be youth on probation, remaining post-commitment, probation, and conditional release. So the data that was provided to the subcommittee consisted of dates, a specific date, September 2023, September 2024, and September 2025 to see what the enrollment date is. We were just looking at youth that were enrolled. So September 2023, youth enrolled in school were 80%. Those not in school are at 19%, and unknown was 1%. September 2024, youth enrollment 82%, 17% for youth not in school, and unknown 1%. For September 2025, youth enrolled in school were at 95%, youth not in school 4%, and unknown 1%. So as you can see from those percentages, we've made significant impacts. That's with the school transition specialists such as Chrissy Dorian, Melissa Russo, and her team advocating and assisting the department, and our probation officers and everybody cohesively working together to ensure that the child is at least enrolled in school. And attendance is our next step as we move forward with that. But right now, we just wanted to focus on increasing those enrollment numbers. Some things where we go with 1%, what's that? Well, it could be a child that has transitioned from going in to perhaps our detention center, which they will be unenrolled from school and showing school placement as detention center. And sometimes they may come out within 24, 48 hours back to release to the community, or in some instances, Hillsborough County Children's Services. It may take some time for our database to get updated to show back that their current school placement is correct and accurate. So we're working on a few of those things internally with the department to where we can be hopping on those a little bit quicker, naturally. And Sarah, did you have something that you wanted to say? I wasn't sure. I know you've been part of this conversation as far as that perhaps that 1% could be, you know, those children that fall into that catchment area of change of placement real quick.
I don't have anything to add except for Chrissy's team is amazing, and their efforts to ensure kids get into school as quickly and safely as possible is not unnoticed, as you can see in the data. We still have a few gaps, but Chrissy is constantly looking for innovative ways to ensure that kids have access to education that's appropriate for the community and the youth. So kudos to Chrissy.
And on behalf of the department, the department is looking at enhancing the data systems within our juvenile justice information system database, where the probation officer, intake, the Juvenile Assessment Center, who's ever activating something, putting into JJS, systems improvements. I'm not sure what that looks like at this point. I'm not sure if it would show like their actual grades or, attendance. I don't know. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but actually trying to work on those system improvements. We really started the focus on education, achievement, post-secondary success under the leadership of Dr. Eric Hall to really focus on that. So we started championing for that, and as you can see, the data kind of reflects that too. We have policies in place, processes in place, but also encouraging and engaging our families on the importance of not just enrolling, but attending, no in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, achieving, making it to promotion to the next level, and naturally graduation, and working, again, within our residential commitment programs with our community reentry team, our project anchor, Chrissy Dorian and Melissa Russo. So we're trying to capture all different angles that we can. So, yes, I agree. Kudos to Chrissy Dorian and her team as well. So when we looked at student enrollment, we feel that we've, the team, the subcommittee, felt like, okay, we kind of clearly addressed that. There are some things that we want to focus on in our next steps. I knew that there was some conversations as far as duly served youth and navigating those youth that may have change of placements. And so that is something that is under focus at this point, and also the changes for school placements that may impact the youth if they are working with the school system as far as the nature of their offenses that may not allow them to be go back to traditional campus. Other alternatives for them to attend schools such as the Encore program that's at Chamberlain High School. So there are many different avenues, but that's still some of the items that we're currently addressing through the subcommittee. And looking at moving forward to the next phase, there's been discussion on enrollment trends and related questions, discussion about the Encore program, inquired about any data on sustainability. That was from Conchita Canty-Jones. Are you staying in school once they're enrolled? Are they graduated or promoted to next level? Those are some of the items that we as Department of Juvenile Justice doesn't have that data base to support that, provide that data. At this time, as I mentioned earlier, working on improving those systems. And let's see, what else are we, the subcommittee, looking at? As I discussed earlier, detained youth, DVU, school withdrawal, and replacing back-end youth that may be at the Youth Gun Offender Program at the Evening Reporting Center. Sometimes that can skew the data that we collect from JJIS. So that's the information that I do have. And I know you may have some questions for me. I just don't want to forget to mention this one thing that our subcommittee chair, Ms. Dorian, has served at the subcommittee for approximately 1 year. And at this point, we feel, she does, as a cohesively, we're going to agree with her request that a new subcommittee chair be nominated and approved to oversee this particular subcommittee. She will continue to serve as a committee member, but at some point, she has asked that she have someone else replace her, so we can discuss that at a moment after some questions. But I just wanted to put that out there today since we do have quorum for voting. Mr. Parkin, did you have a question?
No, I just want to concur with some of the things you said. And Sarah, Chrissy has done an outstanding job in getting to the bottom of the data issue that we had. It sounds awesome that we went from 80% to 95% in a 3-month period, but what we found is a lot of it was data lapse and gaps between certain reporting periods that are required by the district and DJJ, and what she was able to do is basically monitor every single case to make sure the data was put in as quickly as possible, and just solely doing that, we were able to get to the 95% threshold. Obviously, that is very work intensive, and I think one of the things the committee is going to be looking at, and Ms. Hammerly, Chair Hammerly talked about this, is maybe putting in some processes, some automated processes for DJJ to be able to capture that data. Ms. Canty-Jones, wants to look longitudinally at ways we can compare and contrast the various educational opportunities. A lot of our youth are in alternative education models, so maybe in 3 years' time we'll be able to compare and contrast what educational models have the best outcomes. That would be a nice addition to the system. I also wanted to let the folks know that because one of the issues that we pointed out is there might be a data gap in our Youth Gun Violence Initiative kids that are going to Safe and Sound. A very good point was brought up. Geraldine Jean-Pierre with my office, who actually is over the Safe and Sound Gun Violence Initiative program contract from our county. We went over and kicked the tires, was it last week or the week before, over at Safe and Sound. And they have some real good processes set up in terms of, especially those kids that are in one of the adult ed models, or that are involved in the Juvenile Reentry Education Program, the JREP program. They even have some staff over there helping kids go through their GED program, which is awesome. But we did see some gaps in communicating that information to both the district and DJJ. And we opined on that issue and how we can improve that. So I expect that in the next couple months that will improve. But again, this is just another example of how that committee is working to find issues and then resolve them through committee work, or if it's something the committee can't resolve, to bring back to this full body. So.
Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Is there any other questions regarding this? Yes, Beth Pasek.
Yeah, I have one question. You briefly mentioned attendance. How are we using the data to look at, we look at enrollment, but kids that are actually attending?
Would you like to go ahead and take that, please?
So the committee has not been looking at that. The first data issue, the first hurdle was making sure that kids were in school. So the next hurdle, and Ms. Canty-Jones, focused on that a lot, is how can we make sure that, one, they're going to school, we're not having truancy issues, and then secondly, how are they doing in the individual educational opportunities, and how can we improve their outcomes in the various educational opportunities?
Right, and then if they're not, being reported back, if need be, to the JPO or whatever, but closing that loop, because I do see, just in the work I do, that kids are enrolled, but if they're not going, they're not moving forward in their education, and they're not helping themselves get better either.
No, you're absolutely right. And, one of the really confounds in our data is the virtual options. And how do we objectively measure those virtual options? And each virtual option has different ways of measuring attendance. And I'm not going to go into the details, but some of them, they're really low bars. So, the committee has its work cut out for it in the next couple of years. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And Conchita Canty-Jones, I see your hand is raised. You have the floor.
Yes, I'd like to, I think that's a great question that I think it was Ms. Hunt that brought up. And that's one of the things that I noticed being in the district is that we do a very good job of enrolling them, but it is challenged of how they stay. Sometimes it's the environment or the culture that is going on in the school or what's going on in the family. So I would love for us to take a deeper dive, like I said earlier, if they are sustaining. But I do love the idea that we have increased our enrollment. I also think that we should have a description. What do you mean when they're enrolled? Is the child and the parent physically going into the school to enroll, or are we under our system are enrolling? Because that looks different. If a parent and child goes to enroll, it's more of a commitment than if we enroll them from the system. So that I don't know either. How are we counting enrollment? But great job on our team of getting them enrolled.
And I just wanted to highlight something that Ms. Dorian has been doing for, maybe 10, 12 years now with the Juvenile Reentry Education Program, which is a partnership between the county, Success for Kids and Families / Crisis Center, or vice versa, and then the school district. And that's getting kids that are appropriate, and it's the most appropriate setting, into adult ed options, helping them pay for their GED and related costs. And when she first sold this program to the Board of County Commissioners, I think it was 2012. Help me out here. Was that 2012, Madam Secretary? I'm sorry. JREP. Did we do that in 2012? Around there. Anyway, there was a change in statute, and then all of a sudden, kids in adult ed had to pay for their services. And that posed a significant challenge, especially for juvenile justice-involved youth. And Chrissy Dorian advocated vigorously, I think with everyone, state level, local level, presented at our Board of County Commissioners meeting, 3 or 4 times. It was interesting. We had to bring a box so we could see her on the camera. But she presented, and she basically convinced the board to spend some money on that issue, and we've been doing it since 2012. And she committed to showing the board the data of the impact of that adult ed program. And I mean, she's tracking down to, and when we talk about tracking kids' attendance, she kind of did a 180 on that, and she tracked their educational outcome instead. So it didn't matter if they went 5 times to a class or 10 times. If they passed the class is when she documented it. And she's providing that data for 14 years now. And it's absolutely incredible because she's, even if we don't get a kid to graduate, she's tracking that we got them from maybe the 6th grade level to the 10th grade level. And that's important because it shows progress in a kid and the system. And, you know, we always want, even if those kids don't achieve a GED or a diploma, we want them to be set and ready and have a foundation. So if they decide something different as an adult, they'll be able to jump back in and continue their education. And Ms. Dorian has really set up a system where that is not only a possibility, but an expectation. And again, she's providing the data on it, and the data is always very impressive. So.
Yes, Ms. Grimming.
I just want to add to answer Beth and Conchita. One of the things that we did discuss at our last meeting was that we were going to be adding Amber Limerick to our meeting to further discuss data and truancy and attendance and what her social work team is doing with truancy to hopefully help answer some of these questions a little bit more specifically.
So what I would recommend is if anyone is capable and willing to chair that committee, they notify Chair Hammersley, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting. And we can ask for a formal nomination. We can say Geraldine has offered to be chair, and can somebody nominate her, and go through the Robert's Rules of Order stuff.
And I take what you're saying into consideration. However, I know that one of our requirements is that the subcommittee meetings meet each quarter. So that might pose a bit of a situation.
If Ms. Dorian is unwilling to chair the committee during the interim period, I can chair it to make sure it happens.
Okay. That would be, I'll take that in, actually, I'll accept that.
Yeah, I mean, she was very clear that she wants a smooth transition so that there's not any dissonance or gap in progress. And if need be, I'll chair it. I'll do the minutes and all the necessary support services.
Okay, thank you so much. And likewise, for the subcommittees, I traditionally will be on those committee calls when I'm available, or the assistant chief, and naturally Mr. Parkinson's as well. The chair will develop an agenda, send it to me for review, et cetera, edit, and then once it's approved, the department, we upload it to our SharePoint. And likewise, I'm creating the public notice. I work with the chair on that as well. And then completing the minutes of the subcommittee meetings, those are sent to me as well within a time frame to where I can continue the process, revise, edit, seek consultation from anybody else that we're in the meeting where we may have missed some information that we want to put in the minutes. So those are some of the nuances for each of the subcommittees. And as a reminder, every board member should participate in at least one subcommittee during the annual calendar year.
And just one final thing, I'm sorry I forgot to mention this. Ms. Geraldine asked me to just let folks know that in addition to Safe and Sound working with JREP, they're also providing tutoring for kids that are going through the adult ed program. So they've set up computer stations and have a former teacher providing tutoring assistance as well. So that's something that we didn't have a few months ago. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just taking copious notes here. Yeah. Okay. Any more discussion on the academic achievement, student achievement subcommittee? Okay, with that, nothing further on that. We'll move on to new business. Let's see, we had somebody join us.
Pastor Dames came in. I believe he's been documented present by the secretary.
Doctor? Good morning.
Good morning. I thought that was my target.
You're present now. Okay. All righty. So new business, discussion of data and related questions. So I'll pose this to the CAB as far as any data that you may want from the Department of Juvenile Justice. All I need to know is specifically what type of data and more information to where I can forward those requests to our Office of Research and our Director of Policy and Programming. And I'm always open to emails too, folks.
Chair Hammersley, I think the primary data need is going to be those student achievement and enrollment data points that we talked about for the Student Achievement Committee. And again, I don't think we know what we need yet, but I think the first step is to see what we have. And then, of course, I know that Ms. Dorian is looking at what data points the district could provide. And then we'll go from there.
Thank you, sir. Well, now we're going to move on to our next item, innovation zones. And we have Conchita Canny Jones here just to provide an update on any development for potential, first of all, a subcommittee, and then any identified zones that we would want to target as far as when we talk about the development. Ms. Canty Jones, you have the floor.
Yes, so thank you so much. The innovative zone, I sort of did some research. So some of the information, of course, I'm going to read. And I kind of did some bullet points of where we can start and some things that we actually need. One of the things that just wanted to let everyone know that the innovative zone statute is 98.668. And on a high level, what it does is that the department should encourage each of the juvenile justice circuit boards to propose at least one innovative zone with the circuit for the purpose of implementing any experimental pilot or demonstration project that furthers the legislative established goals of the department. So on a high level, one of the things I wanted to point out that the innovative zone represents an opportunity to move beyond traditional processes and explore creative problem-solving approaches that addresses the root cause of the court that it is involved. One of the things I also like to say about this subcommittee that I'll talk about in a minute is that we must organize, strategize, and make sure that whatever we decide to do is sustainable. So one of the things that it says is that it is not just a concept. It's not just, something that we're doing, that it requires planning, defining outcomes, and accountability. The other thing I wanted to point out is that the purpose that we do need a subcommittee, and the purpose of the subcommittee is to create an idea, clarify the scope, identify priority focus areas that we need, establish measurable performance outcome. And then the other thing that we would like to do, of course, is the problem solve. What is the problem? So I'm going to give you an example. Like in my field and working with the DJJ population, one of the problems is the workforce, is that there is a gap between, especially those students that are in the probation area, how we connected them to the workforce and ensuring that not only that their education, but in my area, the workforce. So of course, what idea that can support with that or any other things that we find that are great and we can measure. So the goal is to address the root cause, of course, reduce recidivism, and then improve long-term sustainability. The key feature of this particular innovative zone and opportunity for the subcommittee is to encourage structured intervention, also to integrate community and agencies and focus on measurable and outcome-driven results. So one of the things that I'm recommending that we design we create a subcommittee that has representative in many areas. and then also be able to create a idea and come up with a deadline when we want to implement that idea. The final thing that I didn't find, and maybe someone here can help us, we always got to talk about funding when we come up with ideas. I know it's uncomfortable, but it is a thing. So is there designated funding for whatever idea that we come up with? What is the budget perimeters? What are the timeline? Do we have to create a proposal? So that is my final overall. So the great thing about the innovative zone is that you can think outside of the box. You could be able to have the opportunity to create an idea that support the DJJ population. So we definitely have to identify the problems. We all know in this committee we have a lot of problems that we feel like we want to solve, but which one would be effective and that we can measure. So the one thing that I'm proposing, Chair, is that we, in addition to addressing the question that can be offline for us funding when we come up with the idea, is to propose a subcommittee. So that's my high level of what the innovative zone is.
Thank you, Ms. Canty-Jones. I appreciate you doing your due diligence with that, since it is a bit of a lengthy read as far as the Florida statute and also the requirements for any innovation zone to be reviewed and approved by DJJ leadership, which is the Assistant Secretary for Probation and the Secretary of the Department as well. Once we actually come up with and agree upon the committee and the CAB as far as the finalization of a specific zone and what it may require, if it's anything, regarding any changes to current policies, practices, statutes that are in place, and anything that may require additional funding. So it's a bit of a heavy lift, but it is an attainable lift. It's just focusing on that specific item that may be part of our zone for 2 or more years. So thank you so much with that. So with that being said, I believe that we could go ahead and create the subcommittee at this point with, naturally, we can take nominations. We would look forward to a subcommittee chair. I personally cannot make a nomination, but I can, we can accept the nominations, the motions, and naturally the nominations and do approvals as well. So at this particular point, would anybody like to make a motion for the subcommittee chair?
And is it going to just be called Innovation Zone Subcommittee?
Yes.
Thank you.
As far as moving forward, I mean, the statute's pretty clear. We have to do this. So, one, I move that we create the subcommittee. And Ms. Canty-Jones, are you willing to chair that committee with help?
Yes, I am willing to chair that committee.
And I move that we nominate Ms. Canty-Jones as the chair of that subcommittee.
I second it. Beth Pasek.
Well, congratulations, Conchita. You are the chair of the subcommittee, and we truly appreciate you taking on this added role with our CAB.
I look forward to it.
And Ms. Canty-Jones, just some observations. Once we identify the problem focus area that we want to focus on and we do some problem solving, I think that's the key component, and then we could look for resources on the back end. Again, and I hate the name opportunity zones because it's, I mean, this could be a problem, not a specific zone or geographic area, obviously. And you mentioned career development and career linkages. That's a good one. But once we do decide what we're going to work on, do the problem solving, analysis of all the factors that go into the specific problem, propose some specific resolutions, and then we can find the resources, whether it be DJJ or Florida Network, or even working as a group to apply for a foundation or state or federal grant. let's figure out what the problem is, how we want to address it, and then we can look for the resources. Geraldine's really good at looking for resources, so she's going to help us.
Thank you. I appreciate the high level of the funding aspect, because when a committee gets together, we get very creative, and many times it does connects to what resources are available. So I appreciate that high level of keeping us focused and looking at the step, which is what is the problem first, then bring that forward, and then see what resources can connect to the problem.
Oh, absolutely. And, I see a lot of stakeholders get frustrated because they don't think dollars are there to help solve a problem. But I look at what we did with domestic violence respite, and we didn't get new dollars per se. We just reallocated existing dollars to serve a more acute need. And again, with the stakeholders at this table, we know where all the dollars are and what might have some flexibility in problem solving. So again, we might have resources already on the table that we can redeploy to meet the specific need.
Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Do we have any board members that would like to partake and participate on this subcommittee now that we have a chair? Are there any volunteers at this particular point?
What do you do? Volunteer.
Is that, I'm sorry.
Marquesh Thomas.
Marquesh Thomas, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What does the subcommittee do?
Very good question, and thank you for asking, Quinn. Quinn today is our newest representative from the youth community, and we're very pleased that you're able to join us, and we look forward to your input and your collaboration, because as a youth, we need that information. You play a very pivotal role in some of the decisions that we make as it impacts all of the youth involved in our community, whether duly served, DJJ involved, but prevention youth. So thank you very much. Subcommittee, I'm going to put that over to Mr. Parkinson.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, they changed the juvenile justice statute to require each community to create one of these innovation zones. And it's a misnomer, because it doesn't have to be a geographic area. It could be a specific issue. So an acute issue that has caused concern for the juvenile justice system and possibly the school district or both, and then to collaboratively problem solve to address the issue. So a good example of something that might be appropriate is a few years back we had issues with kids that were accused of domestic violence related crimes. And we had a lot of them coming into the deep end of the system, and we realized that there's some evidence-based models out there, like the DV respite program, that can help mitigate some of those issues in a system. And we collaboratively worked together. We developed a policy on how those youth would be handled, and we realized we need a respite program, a place where those kids can kind of go and cool off. And that's where Hillsborough County Children's Services stepped up to provide a place for those kids to go and cool off, get wraparound counseling and services that could follow them in the community if necessary. And that solved the problem, or substantively solved the problem. Not that we never have those issues, but we have a very concrete process for those youth to be screened, assessed, and get linked to services. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an example of a big issue that popped up and how we addressed it. That would have been a great innovation zone, domestic violence innovation zone for us to work on, but we've already solved that problem. So looking at, again, acute issues that we have here and then applying substantive resources to address that issue. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, but I meant more of what does it, if I were to say, yes, I volunteer, what am I signing up for?
That's a good question. So it would be at least one committee meeting, but there's also takeaways. So for instance, you heard a lot about Ms. Chrissy Dorian's committee today that looks at youth achievement within the school district. She does a lot of work on the back end to make sure that that committee is a success. So there may be additional work. We might ask you to talk to your peers and get feedback from your peers within the district. We might ask you to talk to your peers in the community to give us feedback. And we might say, hey, In this case, Ms. Canty Jones talked about there's a gap in linking youth to careers after they leave the juvenile justice system. And we might decide we want to make some more concrete pathways for those youth. I think we have pathways for kids to go to junior college and college. I mean, those are more traditional. We don't have the solidified pathways sometimes for those career pathways. So we might say, hey, is this an issue and how can we address it? And then you will give us your expertise as a current peer, because you're in that AS. Well, it's been a while since we've been a child. So. But that's where your voice and your expertise comes in to say, hey, this is, we might think, hey, welding is a great career path. And you might say, hey, kids are into technology now, and you need to be looking at technology career paths. And then propose what those career paths are that kids are looking at. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Again, you bring a certain subject matter expertise that we no longer have, and we're going to rely on you to provide that expertise.
Okie dokie. May I sign up then?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, please note that. And traditionally, the subcommittees meet each quarter to where it's traditionally via Teams. So virtual meetings just to have that discussion and get that input and make some decisions as they move their focus forward. So we've got you duly noted, and thank you. Do we have anybody else that would like to participate on this subcommittee?
I'll also volunteer.
One moment, Dr. Dames.
No problem.
Was there somebody else that was virtually?
Ms. Canty Jones?
Yeah, Ms. Thomas had her hand up, so I was trying to, did you have a question? Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I was just stating that I thought it was perfect because that's one of the courses that I'm teaching now with the career development course.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, Markesh, did I hear you're willing to serve on that committee as well? Yes. Is that what okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we got 3, and then me, 4.
Quinn.
Chief, can I join as well, please? It's Major Roberts.
Absolutely. And Dr. Dames, Reverend Doctor?
For another consideration for study is homelessness within the DJJ population. Once our children leave DJJ, sometimes they become homeless more often than not. So that's another subject that they may want to explore as a segue into what they're doing.
That's a great point, and very apropos. The Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative is doing their annual point in time count, I believe next Thursday, and I believe they're still taking folks that want to volunteer to go out and count our unhoused population in the community and at various sites. Of course, they do look at adults and kids during that process. I'd also like to point out that Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative received a federal grant about 1.5 years, 2 years ago to specifically look at the issue of youth homelessness, and they have an advisory committee made up of youth. So I think they can help advise our group if that's an issue, if that's an innovation area that they want to focus on. I think there's a lot of synergy there to be had, and I can absolutely set up a scenario where they come and do a presentation and we can see what they've done thus far, and they also would be able to opine because they're a little bit further down the track on analyzing the issue. They could opine on where they're at and if there's any unmet needs and what those unmet needs are.
If I could also add, the homelessness, I think it's a wonderful thing to pursue. We have a significant problem with that, with cases, with children who have cases pending, unable to receive services because their families are homeless, and then it challenges us to handle their cases. So I think that would be a wonderful innovation zone, and to remember that we should also be worried about the children who are in the justice system already, and the issues that they have with homelessness too. Yeah, that's what okay, perfect. Same page. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else on this particular topic at this point?
Very good discussion, and I've heard 3 great innovation zone area ideas announced just today. So Ms. Canty-Jones will have her work cut out for her and some tough choices to make.
Yeah, and I just for a point of clarity, Chair Hamsley, would I be able to get that list of the subcommittee? Would that be in the minutes, or so that way I can communicate through the process that you taught me?
Yes, we will get you that list, absolutely.
And is there a deadline in creating the innovative zone? Is it, because I didn't see anything like that that said that there was a deadline when to complete it?
There is not, and Ms. Canty-Jones, you and I and Mr. Egg attended the December DJJ conference in Orlando. And one of my reasons for attending was to kind of kick the tires with some of the other circuits to see what they're doing. And no one is really advanced on that issue. They're still going through the kind of problem analysis phase, similar to what we're going through. I didn't hear any concrete plans. Did you, Mr. Egg? Assistant Chief Egg? I did not. Okay. And I specifically went there to see if we could beg, borrow, or steal from what another circuit was doing. And I'm going to be honest with you, we've had deeper discussions on many of the other circuits, and I'm appreciative of that. But I think it also speaks to folks kind of being blindsided initially when it was put into statute, and then just having a challenging time deciding what to focus on.
I agree. I actually sit on the Circuit 6, and they didn't even, they never heard of it, to be honest with you. So I was going to share the information. So you're absolutely spot on. No one is really talking about it. So maybe we will be the leading force to make it happen.
We're always the lead, so I'm sure we will. And again, you've got some really good ideas today. I need you to have at least one meeting between now and the next full council meeting. So we'll make sure that you have the name of the members and their email addresses so you can start that scheduling. And of course, everything has to work through Chief Hammersley for Sunshine Law requirements.
Okay, sure will. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to item number C, under new business. That's the presentation by Tina Miller, who serves as the Executive Director of the Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay Incorporated.
Good morning. Thank you so
morning.
much. I'll make it really fast because I know that you guys are running over a little bit. So my name is Tina Miller. I'm the founder and executive director of Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay. I used to work for the Department of Juvenile Justice, and I actually found a gap in services. So I resigned from the Department of Juvenile Justice, and I started my own nonprofit organization, Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay. I have since opened 3 sober schools in Tampa Bay. I have the only recovery high schools in Florida. And this is just a good visual of what we do at Victory High School. As you can see, the young men, their pictures above are before they attend Victory High School, and they were all addicted to drugs. And the gap in services that I identified 6 years ago was that young people would attend the detention center struggling with drugs and mental illness, and when they would be released back into the environment, they would go to their traditional school and they would relapse, and they would come right back into detention. And so I created these schools to be a safe, healing-centered environment. They're totally free to the public, and we are a nonprofit private school. We do have one here in Tampa, one in Newport Richey, and one in Pinellas Park. But I would just want to touch real quick on the personal stories of these young men that are now success stories. So the young man on the left, he was in psychosis from Delta 8 and all of the gas station, chemicals that young people are smoking nowadays. And as you can see, he graduated with us. He earned his diploma. He holds the highest GPA at Victory High Schools, a 4.1. The young man in the middle, Zach, we actually almost lost him. He had attended 6 drug treatment centers before the age of 16. He was shooting up with purple fentanyl under his toenails, and he graduated with us. And he actually earned his wind energy certification last June. He now climbs out 300 feet, and he actually installs the turbines throughout the country. The young man all the way to the right, he was my second graduate, James, and he actually graduated with a 3.98 GPA, and he just got accepted into the University of Tampa under pre-med. What has happened is when my students graduate and earn their diploma, they keep coming back. And I'm like, you have your diploma, you don't need to come back. But I had to actually create a mentorship program. So I have their graduates, so now they are mentors and they do work for me. And I job coach them and they help other students. So these numbers, I actually just got an update from my operations manager that these numbers have actually increased. The bottom number should be 54 as of this morning. So 34 overdoses our students have survived before coming to our schools. 54 suicide attempts our students have survived before coming to our schools. Since attending our schools, average amount is 139 days, 0 suicide attempts, 0 overdoses. We are, like I said, a nonprofit, private school, and we accept Step Up for Students scholarships. I've written over 100 grants, so we don't charge our families a penny. Like I said, we have a school here in Tampa, Pinellas Park, Newport Richey. Our primary goal is to save young people's lives. Our secondary goals is to improve school attendance and reduce dropout rates, increase graduation rates, reduce relapse, improve mental health, and we actually save society. So I'm not sure if you know that when a person is in the darkness of addiction and struggling with addictions and mental illness, they cost society about $75,000 a year, incarcerations, hospitalizations, and all of that. We actually provide our students with mental health services, recovery support, and an education for under $30,000 per student. There is a national research actually, that is based on young people that do attend recovery high schools throughout the nation, and they are 82% more apt to graduate with their diploma than those that do not attend a recovery high school. So as you can see, we do equine therapy with mini horses, and the young lady on the right, she was our first graduate. As you can see, we get our students high, naturally, with zip lining and other activities. Our school is very different. We do not sit in, 4 walls and a ceiling in a classroom all day. That is just not how our students learn. As you can see, Batman has attended our school. But we do art classes, drumming classes, guitar classes every week, equine therapy once a month. And we take them fishing, kayaking, zip lining, you name it. And our students absolutely love it. Just wanted to show you some statistics. So since 2021 of opening the first school, we've had 30 graduates that have earned their diplomas with us. Our average attendance rate is 84% right now in all 3 schools. Recovery rate is 90%. Average GPA among our students at all 3 schools is 3.4. And 97% actually avoided entering the juvenile justice system. I wanted to touch real quick and give you a little personal story about the young man on the left. First one in his family to earn his diploma. He actually just texted me the other day. He is going to go work on the shrimp boats. He just got a new job. And then the young man on the right, Alex, we almost lost him. He had about a year of sobriety. He got in a car crash, didn't have a seatbelt on, and he ended up in a coma for 5 days. So Alex had to learn how to talk and walk all over again. He did earn his diploma with us, and he actually received a scholarship to go to Bryant and Stratton to play baseball. We also have another young man that got a full ride scholarship to football, so he's up in the University of Rio Grande in Ohio playing football and sober. The reason why I'm here today is I wanted to invite you to a free community event that we're offering for law enforcement officers, juvenile justice workers, as well as mental health providers, parents, guardians, educators, and faith community. We are inviting them Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're providing lunch, and it's at Nova Southeastern University in Clearwater, and it's an incredible time because so often we focus on the prevention part, the intervention, the treatment of young people, but we forget about when they get sober, then what happens. And so we're going to be coming together and actually advocating for these young people to pursue sobriety and the success for their lives. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. And just, I'm not sure if I said ages 14 to 19 years old, and they can actually, you can go to refertovictory.com to actually refer a student, and anyone can refer a student.
Do you have transportation?
We do not have transportation, and that has, it's been a struggle. However, I just emailed Claire this morning. That has been a struggle. However, there has been very generous people in the community that have donated towards Uber gift cards, and so that's kind of how we're dealing with 2 of our students in Plant City to attend the Tampa school. They are on track to graduate in May. So yeah, that's always been a struggle. So if anyone has a van, sitting around that you want to donate, please do.
And do they go for their entire 4-year high school career, or is it like a 1-year program and then they
Good question. Actually, the majority of our students, they'll come to us maybe after they have successfully completed residential drug treatment, and they'll attend Victory. They receive mental health counseling, group therapy, expressive art therapy, and all of that. We stabilize them. Majority of our students, we transition back into the public school district. Yes.
So just some comments. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I've had the opportunity to go to your Tampa school a couple years ago when you opened it up. I've subsequently had the chance to meet with some of your students over the years. I'm always very impressed with them. They're always very open and transparent about some of the challenges that they've experienced. And just to name a few, when a kid gets Marchman acted or Baker acted or overdosed, the stigma that they have to deal with in going back into the traditional school system creates so many challenges for them, and that's something that your school completely eliminates. It's a peer recovery model where they're able to talk to other kids that have are going through the same thing. It builds a sense of family that they maybe didn't have. And you talked about some of the kids wanting to come back and creating that mentorship program. I mean, every kid that I've talked to considers the recovery school a pseudo family. And that is something absolutely incredible because in a year, 2-year, 5-year time, if they're experiencing challenges again, they're going to reach out to help for somebody.
Absolutely.
And that's key, and that's an important foundation of all our recovery programs. The Board of County Commissioners helped get the Hillsborough Recovery Coalition off the ground, and they just got a building. I think it was last month that we had the grand opening. They helped get the mental health clubhouse off the ground, and that is one of the constant themes you see with these recovery-oriented programs, where the peers that are going through these challenges are helping to support the other peers. So absolutely incredible. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Many of you that are aware, because we've talked about it in the past, Hillsborough County got a fairly copious amount of opioid response dollars because of the opioid crisis. A number of jurisdictions, including Hillsborough County, sued the drug manufacturers for the impact of those drugs on our community. The county got $18, $19 million. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. And we have subsequently put it out on the street. The Board of County Commissioners is funding not only adult programs, because they often seem to be the loudest one in the room, right?
Yes.
But they also have funded juvenile programs, and I know that you had the opportunity to partake in some of that funding.
Yeah, very grateful for it.
And just so you know, it's not just me advocating for services for youth in that environment. It's also the Public Defender's Office. It's also the State Attorney's Office, who had a key voice during that Behavioral Health Task Force assessment process and then making the subsequent recommendations.
Thank you all
So
so
we're all
much.
behind you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for what
I
you
did
do.
want to add two things. We are accredited through the National Association of Recovery Schools. And in that accreditation process, they actually asked us, what is our continuum of care? What does our discharge look like with our students? I'm like, we never discharge them. I mean, I still am working with Christina, our first graduate, and providing mental health counseling and all that. So, I mean, you know, I guess we're kind of like a gang where, you know, once you're part of victory, you're never going to get out. But, yeah. So, and also, just to touch base, I think it's really important. We are a family, and our staff, among my staff, we have over 100 years of sobriety ourselves. So that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director Miller. I appreciate that, and I'll make sure to share your PowerPoint with our public notice to where everybody has access to that, for that information accordingly. At this point, I will ask, do we have any public comments? Oh, can you see where?
Okay, it appears we have no cards, comment cards, and we don't appear to have any public comment virtually.
Thank you, Co-Chair. At this point, prior to adjournment, I just wanted to note that our next meeting will be held on Friday, May 22nd, 10 a.m., at the location where we're currently holding the meeting today, which is 601 East Kennedy Boulevard, the 26th floor, Conference Room A and B, Tampa, Florida, 33602. I want to thank everybody for attending today. We appreciate each and every one of you. The meeting will now be adjourned.